the winner of the 2021 Brownlow medal is Ollie Wines of the Port Adelaide Football Club.
Welcome to a Little Birdie podcast, a unique look into the world of sports betting from the eyes of pros. I'm your host, Scoot, and I got MG here. How are you, buddy?
Good, Scooty.
Bounce back after the Brownlow. Tough night.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Wasn't as bad as a few areas of it, but what an exciting count. Unbelievable result for Ollie Wines to equal the record. I don't think too many people saw that coming in any ratings I saw.
Massive count.
Yeah, we thought the winner would be low 30s, maybe 31, 32, but to get to 36,
crazy.
Yeah, it's an outstanding count. So, high count. First time 4 players over 30 as well. So, it was a highly entertaining night.
Not without some funny commentary from the media blowing up, saying that midfielders' medals starting to raise its heads. The same old narrative, same old storyline. But I'll tell you what, OB was best on ground and best dressed anyway on Sunday night at the bag of fruit. Now you've just dialed it back a couple of notches, OB.
Yeah, just back to my punting kit, Saturday afternoon punting kit. But no, it was a great night. I think I read somewhere that Bontempelli would have won all bar 3 Brownlow medals with 33 votes. Yep. Oliver would have won all bar 6 or 5 or 6, and then Walsh would have won all bar 8 or 9. So it was a really high count. I know about the midfielders medal, but they're the better players. They're the best players. So they're near the ball for a reason. So I've got no issues with it.
I think there's only been 2 ruckmen dating back several decades anyway, so it's not like it's new. What was the last forward? Tony Lockett in 87, I think, and the last backman you'd have to go back before any of us are alive, so it's not like it's a new thing.
Where was Wanganeen playing?
Hey?
Wanganeen?
Back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was, 93?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been midfielders.
Diesel.
Yeah, midfielders and ruckmen for a long time.
And Wanganeen only got 18 votes. So it's a really low count that year. So look, Gorn was outstanding. He's had an outstanding year. But then, was there a backman that sort of jumped off the page? Everyone says Lever and May, but Lever sort of gets you 14 touches and that's about it. The 8 intercept possessions, and then there's no real forward that kicked a huge bag and knocked it off the map. So it was always going to be a midfielders award, and I think a very deserved winner.
It was good to see a couple of forwards, Buddy and Bruce, get threes when they kick bags of 6s. So it's interesting from a Norm Smith betting perspective. You're probably going to have to kick 5 or 6 to get the medal. Let's have a look at the quick leaderboard for the Brownlow medal. Ollie Wines finished on 36, Bontempelli 33, 31 Oliver. Walsh was the surprise pack at 30 votes in a pretty lacklustre side. We've given Carlton a fair bit of stick, and it's interesting movements now with Michael Voss into the frame, and Adam Kingsley seem to be the ones that will fight it out. Any goss, MG?
We were speaking about it before with OB downstairs. I'd love to have known the original list, and if Voss gets the job, how far down he was down the list. I'm tipping he wasn't inside the top 10.
Be interesting to see if the coach they elect actually coaches for a full term, or whether there's going to be some ducks and drakes, or it just seems like a basket case. But that's the Carlton that we've known for quite a long time.
Yeah, I've worked with Adam Kingsley. He's fantastic. So hopefully he gets the opportunity. But look, is Kingsley like Teague, first-time coach? Possibly. They'll have to go looked like they're doing something different, possibly. I'm not sure about the narrative around Carlton at the moment. But hopefully, they've got a good list. So hopefully the coach comes in and you want to see Carlton, Essendon, and these teams playing finals, because that's how you pack the G out.
Yeah. It might turn out to be a blessing for someone like Kingsley as well. Going into a first-time job against Carlton in the current climate they're in is probably not the ideal job anyway. And I still believe that Clarko probably will go to Gold Coast now, but I'm certain Carlton, if Voss doesn't produce next year, he's no lock to keep going. He could be a one-year tenure.
One-year wonder. Could be part of the deal. Who knows? Brian Cook's got a bit of weight.
Yeah, I think there's 6 coaches that are out of contract at the end of 2022. So there'll be a few looking over their shoulder for A. Clarkson.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Top Rope will get a couple of sackings. We know he loves them. We're going to preview the prelims with Top Rope, and we're going to have a quick look at the Ryder Cup, the US versus Europeans. And I guess the main event is the AFL Grand Final. And we're going to bring on Daniel Cross, who's played a couple hundred games for the Bulldogs, and he finished his career with 2 seasons at the D's. He wasn't done, and he had plenty of fresh legs in him. The White Kenyan, they called him when he first started out, and he's a friend of the show. But welcome, Crossy.
Thanks, Scoot. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it's an interesting one. with you, I don't know where your heart and where your loyalty will lie, and I'm not sure, knowing you, whether you'll tell us, but are you going to cheer the Dogs or the Ds? And obviously you've worked closely with both clubs. Where's the heart lie here, mate?
So as I've said to you in a cheeky message, I'm going to be sitting on the fence with who I actually barrack for. It's a win-win in my eyes. Obviously being at the Bulldogs for 13 years and then playing at Melbourne for 2 and then working there for 5, it makes it a bit difficult. But it's great to see where both clubs are at. But I think with the tip, I honestly think the Dogs will just get over the line.
Wow. Just let's talk about, I guess, your when you first turned up at the Ds, because it's a fascinating story. Like, obviously, you were with the Dogs for a long time, but Ruse was there when you were at the Ds, and everyone knows you as an impeccable trainer and your preparation, your dedication, and what you put into it. What was the culture like when you stepped into the Ds, and how have they turned it around so quickly? Obviously, they had a lot of work to do, and now they've gone in a pretty quick duration right up to the top. They were probably going as bad as someone like Carlton, as we've just spoken about. And now here they are in a grand final. What was the thing that turned them around? You probably.
Yeah, exactly. That's the straight easy answer. It was all me. Look, when I got there, I think it was 2 wins they'd had the year before, and much the same the year before that, and it really were in trouble in terms of where the culture was at as an organisation. And as you said, that's when Rusey came on board, and at the end of 2013, Peter Jackson came on board as a CEO, and I think those 2 guys were the real architects of turning the place around. And then you have all your little bits and pieces around the organisation where it starts to build from those guys. The head of the leadership with those 2 definitely, and I don't think Rusey wasn't brought on board for his necessarily his tactical nous. He's a very defensive. He had a very defensive mindset, as we saw when he was coaching up in Sydney. And really just focused on the fundamentals, the basics, and getting them right. And that's what Sydney did. They were the best at getting the basics right over and over again. And that's what Rusey brought in from the start, just building from the ground up. Didn't really have any, game plan to look to as players. And that was pretty evident, listening to players when I came across. They were just all out at sea. When things started to go wrong on game day, they just start to, go into their shell and start playing for themselves. So, I think, Rusey was a massive part of that, and I think that's when the recruiting drive started with going to the draft. I remember in my first year was Salem and Harms and Jaden Hunt were the first few, and then the year after was Petraka and Brayshaw. Alex Neil-Bullen, and then they've just built from there. Oliver from there on, and they've been really smart with the selections that they've chosen through trades. Really gone for a needs basis, and they've built their list beautifully. And the recruiters, have done an amazing job to get to where they are now. And you're right, it has been a slow build. Obviously 2018 was a good season, but it's been a build up until now, and probably the progression of guys. You think of Max, Tommy McDonald's been a good player for a long while, but particularly Max, like his progression since I've got there has been incredible. Just in his professionalism and the way he leads. He's the dominant ruckman he has been for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's poles apart to where the club is now to where it was when I started.
A little bit of a tidbit, OB. Yeah, little birdie tells me you started first ruck playing for Ormond ahead of Max Gawn. So he's gone one way. And what's happened to you, big fella?
No, I think we're on the same trajectory. Our careers, I'm still waiting for my big break, and obviously Max got his. But yeah, we played at Ormond together. We're probably, I think a 10 or 11 years difference. I was 27, 28, and he was 16 or 16, 17, just at the Sandringham Dragons. They had a bye, so he played a game at EE Gun Reserve. I said, Max, the bench is that way, mate. I'll take the first ruck. And let's just say it wasn't long before the roles were reversed.
And I think the disappointing thing for you, I heard a bit of mail, and the difference between Max probably likes a contest, and you'd probably shy away as the other bit of mail. One of my spies saw you play a couple of games here, OB, and they reckon that you actually like to befriend your opponents and just chew their ear off, trying to be friends so they wouldn't crack in his heart. Is that true?
I like to say I was ahead of my time. The outside ruckman, the running ruckman, running away from the ball ruckman. I thought I was ahead of my time. So anyway,
getting into space.
That's right, finding space. But just on you, Scoot, and Crossy, can you please back me up here? And I don't know if there's any truth to this story that Scooty actually was best on ground in the under-13s grand final, and one Daniel Cross didn't figure in the frame.
I knew it was going to come up. I knew. When you're going to ask me about the Norm Smith, I knew it was going to come up at some point. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Slightly controversial. But no, he did play well. He was a big part of that premiership winning side, and helped us get over the line that day. It was brilliant. So no, I can't say anything else. It's all there, and yeah, it's etched in history.
Well, it'd be a different story. Crossy grew to 6'3", and I'm still 5'4". So
I said to Scooty, you asked me about Gorney, and I'll ask you about the under-13s grand final. So we're working beautifully.
Waxing.
Now I tell you what, it's been an amazing recruiting drive. Like they've stacked obviously the high draft picks, and they've all gelled really well. But your Ben Browns, your Levers, and Stephen May, it's a great job that the Ds have done here. It's very smart. There's a lot of recycled players for the Ds, and they've absolutely nailed it, haven't they, MG?
Yeah, and it's been good. Yeah, no, the build's been first rate. Their top liners are as good as any team in the comp. I just wanted to ask Crossy, going into this grand final, would you lean towards the Bulldogs having been there and stuff? I know they've only got probably just more than half a dozen players, but Melbourne have come. I'm going to call them, they've come fast in a short amount of time, and with their history behind them, would you say that's a big plus for the Bulldogs going in terms of not burning energy, especially with the 2-week break? Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's 9 players from their 2016 side that won the grand final that year, and then they've got Giray, who's played at Hawthorn in a couple of flags as well. So. Absolutely. I'm not sure, whether, many people have, brought that into consideration. But as a player, being through experiences definitely does help you. And, although that was, 5-6 years ago now, memories, can come flooding back. And I think every game's different. But I think it just releases that pressure valve a little bit. Just knowing what to expect, knowing the heat that's going to come. I think it definitely does play a part in it for sure, and it is a reason why I'm tipping the Dogs from a psychological point of view.
And then what about the lack of matches that the Ds have played over the last month or so? Yep. Would you prefer to have the Bulldogs run in with all those miles under your legs? I know you're addicted to playing, and you'd play every day if you could. But is that a little concern as well? The Ds haven't played enough footy in the last sort of month, and it's a bit of a disadvantage this skew if draw because of COVID.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think they're the two major reasons behind. From a psychological point of view, and then from a physical point of view, I actually much prefer the preparation that the Dogs have had. They've played 3 do or die contests already, and now they've had the chance to freshen up over the weekend. They've got a couple of guys coming back into the side, most likely, that are really important for their side. And the D's have only had one proper hit out in the last month. Even though they've probably got the best high-performance manager in the business in Darren Burgess to prepare them from a loading point of view, it is very hard to replicate that in training. I think that'll be really interesting to see and see how it pans out.
Let's have a look at the market odds courtesy of Top Sport and the D's. It's been a bit of a stalemate here. The D's $1.66, the Doggies $2.28, line 8.5, and it looks like the total under has been spent 155.5. But it's a fast and dry deck. It's going to be terrible weather in Melbourne this weekend. Surprise, surprise, not much going right down here. We've got protests, we've got lockdowns, and may as well just flood the joint as well and get an arc and get out of here.
It was certainly a different looking grand final parade we've had.
The old Bearcat going through the streets. Were you at the process yesterday?
Definitely not.
No,
he wouldn't have looked good in his suit. Sunday night.
My hands are a little bit soft for the old trading march.
Oh, some crazy cats out there, some of the streets. But it's a funny one, the betting in this one. MG, we know that you tipped up the plus, and you've leaned the plus. You're not deviating from the Western Bulldogs.
No. It's good feedback from Crossy there. I think from a punting point of view, they're the factors when you write down, I guess, the pros and cons for both sides. And part of it is doing the matchups and stuff like that. I think the teams overall, both the three sections of the game look pretty even. I think Gawn's a standout that can probably tilt it Melbourne's way, and they're going to have to find a way to combat him. I'm not sure whether they've got the arsenal for it. I've got a line on that where I think that they have to go after him physically early to set the tone. They've got to take Gawn out of the game. If I'm Bulldogs going into this game, and I'm sure Bevo will have a plan for him, it's going to be a team thing. Gawn hasn't appreciated in the past. He might be further advanced now, but when you've got 18 dogs off the leash, especially in the first 10 minutes, I would be surprised if Gawn's not on his backside more than once. This is all or nothing. It's a grand final, and I like the way the Dogs go about it. And Melbourne, as you said, one game in 28 days more or less, they might be pretty sore come quarter time, and that would be the plan of the Bulldogs. They're going to sacrifice their first quarter. And I'd be surprised if they're not attacked physically, and not just Gawn either. I'd be setting a bloke like Libba alight early. That Harms might go to Libba. If I was Libba, I'd be running to a few other blokes in the midfield, and he'll get into Gawn. He has no fear, that bloke. Doesn't matter that he's given away 3 foot in height. I like that. So no, I'm going to stick with the Bulldogs. I think their run in is the big key. They'll be primed. Nothing against Melbourne's coach. He's obviously coach of the year, but I'm in the Bulldogs camp.
OB?
Yeah, I like the Bulldogs, but you can't take anything away from Melbourne. Like they're top for a reason. You just saw in that prelim final against Geelong who those hardened bodies that they were outstanding. Petrarca, Oliver, Gawn. Nothing seems to faze them. It doesn't matter if they're a few goals down. They just sort of keep doing what they're doing. Steph Martin's huge in this game for mine. Huge. If he can really nullify Gawn, they're great mates. They sort of came through Melbourne at the same time from sort of different paths. But
has he got the ability though? I mean, Stephen Martin's a rock solid player and nothing against him, but Gawn is elite. And as Crossy just mentioned before, he's been elite for a good chunk of time now.
I'm a big Steph Martin fan.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan. I thought Brisbane missed him this year.
Yes.
And also just, Brisbane missed him because McInerney could have gone forward.
Yep.
And McInerney's come on leaps and bounds. But I'm a big Steph Martin fan. He's strong. He's fit. He might just have to sacrifice his game. So I'm just going to go with Gawn everywhere. I'm just going to play out of my skin if I can. And I think they sort of match up pretty well behind the ball if Gawn does go forward. And I think that Martin has to follow Gawn forward and then hand over. I reckon, Crossy could add to this. But, Gawn sort of gets the other ruckman out of position. You saw with Stanley against Geelong, Stanley wasn't sure if he'd stand in the hole in front of Brown and McDonald or go with Gawn. So you really have to hand over with Max Gawn. He loves going, loves drifting forward. So
and he's got his tail up as well.
That's right.
He's chock full of confidence.
So if Martin can just, stay with him and just sacrifice one for the team, I like the Bulldogs. But I think it's going to be a cracking game because Melbourne are excellent.
So what was your tip? I didn't really get it. You just sort of
I'm with
danced
Crossy.
around
I'm
it.
sitting on the fence. Yeah, I'm right on the
But
fence.
I
here.
think you tipped the Dogs.
No,
and
I think the
Dogs.
Dogs. No, I think I hope the Dogs. I really hope the Dogs. If anyone that knows me, I'm not a massive Melbourne fan. The Dogs just. But you ask me tomorrow, I'll probably change.
I find I just want to ask Crossy. It's like it's rare for a grand final, and maybe it is the 2-week break that's also had something to do with it. But it's very rare for 2 grand final teams to come in pretty much 100% ready to go. And like you remember last year, was it the Giants were just toasted against Richmond?
Yeah.
Was that last year's grand final?
Year before.
Yeah. And they were, they put the flag up virtually before they walked on the park. They played injured players, nothing worked. This year they both come in
pretty much fit.
And the lineups are unbelievable. I'm not potting Melbourne at all. Their performance against Geelong, and we've kind of walked away from that game. If they went 85, 90% of that game again, no one's beaten them in the AFL.
It's funny how close the two teams are. So Tomlinson's out for Melbourne with a knee.
Yep.
Bruce out for the Bulldogs with a knee.
Would have played on each other.
Yep. Keith has got a bit of a hamstring scare, and so is May. You can't get any more even grand final teams than these.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd probably lean to the Ds. I think they're super organised. I think the dimensions of the Perth ground are very similar to the MCG, and I think people forget that a little bit. And so I think there's a tiny little edge there. I think they've done nothing wrong. If they were mentally going to collapse, they would have done it against the Cats, because the Cats are a side that can get under your skin. And I disagree with the narrative about only playing 2 games. These guys are all professional athletes. They'll be ready to go. I can see the D's winning this, and I think the Dogs could be a little bit weary too. Even like a week off, I think the D's could cover the line here, and I think they could nearly run away with it and put a hole in the Bulldogs. Yeah. I've been impressed with what I've seen. Again, mentally, if I can see that if the D's go into their shell early and don't come out swinging, you just don't want to be on. No one wants to take a back step in that first quarter. So I respect your angles, and I can see psychologically a lot of this is going to be played above their heads. But I think D's have crossed that line for me mentally. The big win against the Cats from off the canvas, to bury them last week, and the way that they've played all like in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I think they're mentally steeled and can get this done. And I think it's probably going to be a really good match. But I wouldn't be surprised if Melbourne win comfortably.
Yeah. Crossy, can I ask you another question? Being over in Perth, I know the game's played at night, but the forecast for 27 degrees over there, it's not going to impact one or the other oversides. But again, does this come back to Melbourne not being maybe conditioned as well as the Bulldogs going in? Do you see that having an impact at all with the heat, or do you think the night will take the sting out of it and they're both physically pretty much the same?
Yeah, I think you're right. By it's just upon evening. The sun will be down, I'm sure, and it sets it up. Like, listen to the forecast. That just really gets me excited, and what a brilliant game it's going to be, and it really will show who the best team is, because it's going to be really pure. That stadium over there is unbelievable. Probably the best stadium I've seen for quite some time. Surface is amazing. I don't think the temperature is going to have an impact on the players because of the time. But it's going to make for a great spectacle, that's for sure.
Yeah, both teams have been over there a while, especially Melbourne. So just day to day, they're probably acclimatised well. But I thought it was an important question to ask with the thing. I think the other thing I just wanted to mention going to the grand final that these teams have both struggled with at times is the goal kicking. And I just think...
One of your favourites.
No, well, I mean, these are the games that you talk about. We haven't seen the lack of goal scoring or the inefficiency cost the final yet. But in the biggest moment of all, the grand finals, and we often talk back of Geelong when they handed up to Hawthorn that time. So these are always remembered. So I think it's very important in ideal conditions in Perth on a fast deck. Turnovers will kill you, and I think the two keys are possession. The team who has the most possession and can keep the ball and not turn it over will go a long way to winning it. And when your moment comes as the goal kickers,
you can see goal kicking deciding this one.
You've got it. You've got to put them through. I think so. That'll be a big play.
And Crossy, what's the chat on Macca's mates? How the nerves on that chat group?
Little rogue chat group.
It's been a little bit quiet the last few days. I think it'll start to build leading into Saturday from probably tonight or tomorrow morning. But all good Bulldogs mates on there. Lindsay Gilby leads the charge.
As he would. He's got a bit of spare time now with construction shut. And just lastly from me, Crossy, which of the Bulldogs or Melbourne players will be doing ground balls in their hotel room the night before the game?
I didn't pass that tradition on to anyone. That was something that I kept for myself. That was my advantage that I had over others.
A little bit of a pearl. Crossy's footy mad. He sleeps with the footy. The ground ball, he just he'd be a horror to live with. He just doesn't stop playing with the footy, and I'm tipping his kids. His kids will be exactly the same, just absolute footy mad. But let's have a quick look at the Norm Smith betting and get everyone's selection for best on ground. Odds courtesy of Top Sport. We've got Petrarca favourite. I think he's been a bit of a mover. He's into $6.75 now. Clayton Oliver $7. Marcus Bontempelli $8.50. Max Gawn $8.75. McRae $13. Bailey Smith $15 and Libba $19. And then you can get $23 or better the rest. I might shoot first here. I see there's been money for Astronaut at the big odds, 51 into 34 last week after I gave him a little bit of a push. I haven't pulled the trigger. I got sidetracked and didn't bet, so price gone now. So I'll be sick if he wins without me. But my theory is if you like the Western Bulldogs, I'd be tipping Bont based on how these sides sort of match up. You've seen how many votes that the Bont got. I think they might try and shut down Petrarca. So, again, I'm going to go with the obvious with Clayton Oliver to get the medal if you like the D. So that'd be the two ways I'm betting. So I'm expecting a Melbourne win, and I'd say Clayton Oliver maybe gets a square up as well for missing out in the Brownlow. So I'll be saying Clayton Oliver, and then the D's win MG. Your tip for Norm Smith?
Obviously I'm going with the Bulldogs, but on the Melbourne side, I think Gawn provides the value at the top of the tree. I think if Melbourne are to win, Gawn will be right at the top of the Norm Smith voting at the end. So I think they're $8.75 and his third pick on the Melbourne side. That's the way I'd be leaning if I'm a Melbourne follower. Since I'm tipping the Bulldogs, I'm going to stick fat with a couple of the youngsters. Bailey Smith's been unbelievable, and I know he's only a young kid and stuff like that, but he's going to go a long way to taking this team to a premiership, and I think at the $15 he's really good value. And last week I did tip a guy that's coming back, Cody Waitman. Top Sports may have just leaked one out at $91. I see they've trimmed him to $61. I think he's tremendous value still, because if he can kick maybe 4 or 5 goals in a winning side, he'll give you a good run for your money. So, but Bailey Smith for me, and the outsider would be Waitman.
But Gawn if it's a Melbourne win. OB?
Yeah, look, I like Gawn or McRae. Obviously, just a little bit of that the Brownlow sort of non-vote getters. There's been a bit of talk about them. So I think people whoever's voting on the count will sort of look out for them. And I like Gawn for the romance, but I like Steph Martin a little bit as well, $126. If he plays well and the Bulldogs win, he has to nullify Max. I don't think he's going to win it, but just for a little bit of value there, I'd go Gawn, McRae or Martin as my three, a little bit of an outsider.
Crossy, you're a midfielder. Who gets the prize here if it's a D's win, and then who do you lean if it's a Dogs?
Yeah, I like your call of the Astronaut. He's probably my favourite player to watch at the moment. He's incredible, but I don't think he'll get the job done. I think I'm similar to the other guys. If it's Melbourne, then Maxie will get up. He'll be the architect of it. But as I said, I think the Dogs will just get up. So I'm liking Jack McRae. He's just a ball magnet. Always under the, he's always in the play, sets up play really well, and he can hit the scoreboard as he's shown in the finals. So probably him, and Bailey Smith was the other one I'd thought about as well. His run and dash, those wing matchups are going to be incredible to watch. Everyone's thinking about the inside matchups. Those wingers, they're pure wingmen. Like those guys just have played on the wing this year, basically, on both sides. So, Bailey Smith like the open spaces, I think. So, one of those two.
Which wingman will go to which? Crossy, do you think?
I think it'll be Smith and Langdon.
Yep.
And then Hunter and Brayshaw.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Langdon's got some. He can run all day, but he's got some toe as well. I think Bailey Smith matches up well with him.
Yeah.
Just on the Norm Smith medal, Security, just for punters that don't know, that the bookies bet live on the Norm Smith medal.
So you can chase it in.
Yeah, as well as the win and the line and the total, Top Sports will be covering that. I think they shut it off all the way to about three-quarter time. So this should be a cracking event within itself, not only the match, but with the high possession getters you get and also goal scorers, follow it during the run because there could be some value in that as well.
All right, it's outstanding stuff. Great analysis, and big thanks to Crossy. Crossy, you'll be no doubt into the KFC either the night before or to celebrate the big day itself. I know you're a big KFC man.
Yeah, we get the two-piece feeding. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah.
It's going to be an absolute cracking match, and really tugging on your heartstrings. Obviously, a side that you've recently played with, and obviously mentored a couple of these young fellas, and then the Doggies played there for 13 seasons, racked up a couple hundred games. So it's a fairy tale grand final for you, and your son must be in all sorts. Who's he going to support? He'd be beside himself.
He's really jumped on the Dogs this year. Yeah. I hope none of the Melbourne boys are listening, but he loves Cody Waitman. Absolutely loves him. I reckon he's great too. He's just a little ball of energy. You'd love to have him in your side. So, he's jumped on Cody Waitman, and he's got the Dogs jumper out. So, he's on the Dogs for the win as well.
Wow, he's always been wearing this D's jumper and his little footy encyclopedia, Tyler. He knows every play inside out, and the stats just absolutely back the front. You got a final call, OB? You going to say something?
Look, just in honour of Crossy, I'm going to go sort of Ed Langdon and Adam Treloar first goal kicker. Those two wingmen that sort of get forward. So Langdon at 21 and Treloar at 26. I think in honour of the great Daniel Cross, just those wingmen that get forward and kick a few goals.
I'll be on Bailey Fritsch, sharpshooter. MG, first goal scorer.
I'm going to stick with my man Waitman. I want him to go off to a good start. I think the outsider for me for the Doggies, who's kicked a couple of goals first up this year, is Libba. So
Libba.
Because he gets in, if there's some ball-ins, throw-ins, from the forward 50. He's snagged a few this year. So he's not the worst price at $31.
Sensational stuff. All right, thanks for making your little birdie debut, Crossy. Outstanding. What call upon you next grand final day next year?
Thanks, Scooty. Good to talk to you, mate, and nice to meet you, fellas.
Thanks. That was Daniel Cross, 200-plus a game player for the Western Bulldogs, and he finished off his career in sensational style, full of class, our man Crossy, and he's done a great job at the Dogs there. The Dogs and the D's to provide some mentorship for them.
And good luck to the umpires as well this week. Yeah. Stevic and Rosebery both doing their 9th grand final, so they're very experienced, and Jacob Mollison doing his first. So good luck to them. And then the 4 boundary umpires and 2 goal umpires. So hopefully they're seen and not heard.
Yeah, I like it. Well, their press conference was impressive that I saw. There should be more of that. They spoke very well, the 3 umpires. Are they always put up for grand final day like that? Or
yes, they are. Yeah, no, the 3 field umpires are, but this year they had the boundary umpires and the goal umpires as well, which is a really nice touch from the AFL. They are put up, and I think reading between the lines, I think you'll hear a little bit more from the umpires next year, as per your suggestion.
But they spoke really well. It was really good theatre to watch, and if you haven't seen it, I don't know where you can see the replay from it, but they spoke really well. So good luck to them, and hopefully they can umpire out of their skins.
And what's the COVID mail from? Have you got any COVID mail? If that just spreads, do you think McGowan will ban crowds, or it'll march on? Is there a guarantee? Is there a little? Is there any mail?
He is making that much money from the grand final. He will not call it off. So a home and away game, they bleed money.
Yeah,
there'll be fans. Yeah, and the word is that
the world's got to get on with it.
But the word is that the fellow truck driver that was in the truck with him has tested negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they did all the protocols correctly. That they stayed in their cabin in the truck. They did everything right. So I don't think there's any issues. Fingers crossed. It's but the backup is Adelaide, so you never know.
So they could still switch it.
What do you mean?
Wow.
So the grand final is going ahead.
It's Thursday.
It's going ahead.
Yeah.
It is going ahead. Whether that's in Perth or Adelaide, it's 100% going ahead. If McGowan shuts it, it goes to Adelaide.
On Saturday.
On Saturday.
Mental. No.
Yep. 100%.
No way.
Yeah.
So would they do it with crowds in Adelaide?
Yeah,
I don't know.
How are they going to do
that? I'm not.
Just open up the gates.
Yeah, I mean, free for all.
Wow.
No, but that's So Adelaide is the backup. I'm not sure what the turnaround time is. If that's sort of this week or next week, I'm pretty sure it's this Saturday though. It's all going ahead. But 100%. It'll be in Perth, Optus Stadium, great stadium.
Yeah, it should be unbelievable. I'm looking forward to it. Not just the match, the whole theatre and everything like that. Hopefully they can find a decent act music.
They do. So they've got Birds of Tokyo. Great band, and Baker Boy, up-and-coming Indigenous rapper.
Very good.
27 minutes for half-time, so it'll be dark. The lights will be switched off. It'll be a real sort of Super Bowl rock concert at half-time.
Finally got it right. Gil.
No, he's got
He'd
it right.
have to because he dressed up as Meatloaf that time, didn't he?
That's right, yeah. So that wasn't his decision. That was Demetriou. So, I think it all bodes well for a really good grand final day.
Yes,
Yeah, it's,
Saturday's going to be off the chain. Storm winning into Melbourne Bulldogs grand final.
The races into postcards into the grand final.
Outstanding stuff. All right, we'll take a break there. We'll wrap things up for AFL and we'll talk NRL next. We'll talk rugby league with Top Rope, who won't have a bar about AFL. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG and OB in studio. Now it's time to talk rugby league with Top Rope Tedeschi. How are you, big fella?
I'm up and about. I don't know what else is on this weekend, but there's a preliminary final at 4 o'clock on Saturday.
It leads us nicely into Sting in the Tail. 2 weeks in a row now, rugby league has dropped the ball, so to speak. It's week 1, bowed to AFL, shifted the time slot, so giving clear air for AFL fans to do it as they please. I'm sure they're all bored. Most of them won't even be watching the game, will they? They'll just be on the piss waiting for the big dance anyway.
No, they're lucky. NRL's lucky that Melbourne Storm's playing.
Yeah, otherwise no one would tune in.
They'll have one of their biggest audiences of the year. Genius by PVL. I don't know why you haven't got his T-shirt back up.
It's probably just a marketing play all along, I would have thought. But the latest little furphy or big
Mare.
It's an absolute mare. And we spoke about it on the Twitter sphere early in the week, but it's probably the biggest professional foul in, I'd say, any form of sport, any sport for the whole entire year, where it was a gripping game. And it just goes to show that high-scoring rugby league's not the be-all, end-all. Penrith Panthers, Parramatta Eels, 8-6. It was enthralling. OB, you would have been excited by it?
I was watching. A few more points wouldn't have gone astray, but I think now we've got a new candidate. Rather than the Barry Crocker, you call it the Ray Stone.
Yeah. So what we're talking about, 76 minute, the Ray Stone, the trainer has called time, a bit of a timeout, an injury timeout, which has cost the Eels all momentum going forward. And I'm saying it's a professional foul, and the NRL responded with a 25k fairy tap. So he didn't even go out and check the player, which was what he was meant to do. He's just called it straight away, stopping the game. So Top Rope, I'll open the floor to you, because this is a blight on the game, and for 25k in a semi-final to make a prelim, I'll tell you what, every club, that's not a deterrent whatsoever, and it's worth a fine every single time, and no doubt they'll just pay that trainer off.
Absolute blight on the game. Couple of points of order first. OB definitely didn't need any more points for those on 10 to 19 points is a big price. So very happy that we finished 8-6. God bless. Also, PVL's going to cop a caning from it, and he's going to deserve it, and the NRL's going to deserve it. But let's just say that him sending a New South Wales truck driver to WA in grand final week for the AFL to spread COVID, some level of genius there from PVL. So let's just say he's on the road to redemption. Look, $25,000 and suspended for the rest of the year. Are you telling me that a club would not pay $25,000 to get themselves into a preliminary final? What a ridiculous fine! Not only should the bloke be fined a ridiculous six-figure sum, the club should be fined bloody millions. Money should be taken off the salary cap from next year. And you know what? We need to bring in a new thing to rugby league, a race stoning. Yeah, let's have a public stoning of this bloody idiot who did this. What an absolute disgrace that was. Like, the Eels were, I'm not sure the Eels would have broken down the Panthers line there, but they weren't given an opportunity. And what really gets my goat is in the lead up to that play, Parramatta had made a break down the right edge. And Mitchell Moses was held off the ball, tackled without the ball. Eels player, Panthers player potentially knocked it on when trying to pick it up in the scoop of the corner with your man Fergo. Bunker, who does nothing but get involved all year, has been nothing involved all game, including involvement in a ridiculous penalty before halftime that led to the goal that, in the end was the difference between the two sides. Kept their mouth shut. The NRL, the football department of the NRL should be marched out, not after the grand final, should be marched out today. I would dead set rather get people who've never seen the game of rugby league in the bunker. They'd have more idea than the clowns that are currently in there.
I can't add much. I just more support for your way of thinking there, Top Rope. And I'm saying it's probably the biggest scandal since Deflategate from the Patriots many years ago. It was abhorrent. If I was a Parramatta Eels supporter, I'd be absolutely ropeable. I'm sure they are out there.
If it was a bigger sport, it would be.
The upside is that the Eels are a grubby organisation and a grubby club, so I can't be too upset with them. So, one more thing for them to whinge about. But, it's scandalous. But anyway, you know what? Scandals and rugby league go together like bacon and eggs. So, we're fine.
What did you say then, OB?
It'd be a bigger scandal if it was a bigger sport.
I thought that's what I heard.
We've heard nothing down here. So
I'm just crossing out my Hall of Fame nomination this week, and I'll go to option 2. Sorry, OB.
So what happens, Top Rope, if it happens again this week? Or what stops a club doing exactly the same?
25K for the premiership. Beautiful.
25K and they don't rock up grand final day. That's hardly deterrent, as you said.
I will say this, MG. The one upside is there's going to be that many stoppages in this game. We may actually compete with the AFL grand final. Game could last 6 hours. So maybe it's a sneaky way of getting back. So, what if you're a trainer? Why wouldn't you do it? You would stop it at every momentum. For those who saw tales from Tiger Town, Madge Maguire, game 1 of the year, was telling his trainer Snoopy Collins, stop the game. Like it's obviously a tactic. Coaches are obviously willing to run it in round 1, so why wouldn't you run in a prelim when a game is potentially on the line? Like it would be stupid of a club not to.
Tell you what, could be Hall of Fame worthy.
Running out for the prelim.
Well, yeah, this is an absolute beauty. But Hall of Fame just leads us beautifully into the next segment. Fancy that. This is a segment where we recognise someone who's done something amazing for the punt, and no other than Nick Tedeschi was there, the president of the Hall of Fame. He was indicted after a 5-0 start in the NFL. How was week 2 of NFL, Top Rope? Did you hold the line?
I think that's fair, Scooty. I definitely wasn't inducted. I was more indicted. I've been indicted plenty of times by plenty of people. NFL was solid. NFL was good. Just another shout out to an unnamed bookmaker who's just brushed me. Apparently, I can get an advantage on NFL lines. So I must be some special punter from these clowns to get banned from NFL punting. But anyway,
most solid lines in the world.
Most solid lines in the world. Good idea, fellas. Cheers. No, it was a good week. It was I think 3-3 with the official tips, but I think we found a few winners on the every game preview MG. So good weekend. But look, I was going to put the great OB in the Hall of Fame for just that delightful suit he wore on Brownlow night, but after that last comment, definitely out.
I wouldn't mind. I'm going to nominate Melbourne Storm. They've given all their fans, if you're a member of the Melbourne Storm this year, you don't have to pay for next year. So they've given everyone a free lick. No, it's no guarantee you can go to the matches next year, but I like the sentiment.
There'll be some condition in it. You have to would have bought a membership over X amount of dollars for 2020 and 2021. I think that's what it is. But great sentiment from the Melbourne Storm. Always doing something right. Always keeping the rugby league afloat. The Melbourne Storm.
Anything from AFL there or cricket?
Nothing at this stage. We'll get back to you.
The racing clubs would be nice if they dipped in and did something similar. That'd be great. Since we've supported them for the last 2 years with no result.
Well,
I think
racing clubs will be charging double next year. You can take that to the bank.
Yeah, golf clubs are wounded bull type stuff as well, and AFL's a bit of a drama, and MCC might get a little bit of a reduction, but I think Melbourne Storm, fantastic stuff. But from a punting perspective, who's in the Hall of Fame this week? Top rope.
All I know is that MCC members, they've been doing it tough, and it must be incredibly difficult for them, and they deserve every dollar off their membership they can get. Heart bleeding for all those from Kew and whatever other fancy suburbs are in Melbourne.
Summer battlers. Me.
Look, it's Ryder Cup this week, fellas. Ryder Cup, a year late, but we're at the Ryder Cup. And I'm going to give it to a man named David Johnson. Now, go back to the last Ryder Cup in the United States. If you recall, there was a fan in the crowd on one of the practice days heckling the European players for missing a putt from a certain place over and over again. And he was heckling and heckling. So Justin Roses called him out and said, look, you got one putt. I'll bet you $100 you won't make it. This is probably a 15-footer. This big fat fella comes on, lines up the putt, drains it.
Wow.
How good is that? That's a tremendous effort. What a way to win $100 from a guy who's got squillions, but he's still got the 100, so good luck to him. David Johnson, Hall of Fame.
David Johnson. Nice lateral out wide selection. Let's have a look at the Golf Ryder Cup market. May as well just flip the script on its absolute head here, and my AV guy's going to probably pull. He's going to be angry with me. But let's have a look at the Golf Ryder Cup market. Odds courtesy of Top Sport. It's Whistling Straits in Michigan this weekend, so it kicks off overnight tonight. And the USA World Average is at 9, and then the European average is 30. And you got Koepka and Bryson playing on the same team. They absolutely hate each other, which will be good theatre and be worth watching. And the market, there was a little bit of a drift for the USA, 151 out to 153, and then Europe shortened into 325 with Top Sport, and now they're back out to 335, and the draw there is $13. I've been on the phone to my man, Big Daddy Fraser, whose horse, How Romantic, is in and Sandown on Saturday. He's not bullish about its chances, but it does fly fresh, and Casey's found it off the show. So maybe an each-way play there. But he's tipping United States of America top rope. Are you with him or against him?
I'm against him. I'm with Team Europe here. Look, here's the thing with America. They always go with the better team. They always look better on paper. Here's a tip. Ryder Cup's not played on paper. It's played on grass. It's also played with a fair amount of wind. So I think conditions are going to suit the Europeans. They've got a lot more experience. There's the one thing Europe definitely bring to a Ryder Cup is significantly more kind of team cohesion, and that doesn't mean that the Americans don't care about winning for Team USA. The Europeans just gel together, and they bring a selflessness to it and a stability that the US. I mean, US get off to a bad start in foursomes in the morning session. They'll chop it and change their teams. The Europeans won't. They will stick with what they intended to do. So I think there's a bit of value about Europe at the 335. I like their experience. Yeah, I like that the wind is expected to be up. I think that's going to be great. Look, Whistling Straits is a bomber's course, which no doubt kind of favours the Americans. But yeah, the longer you hit it, the narrower the fairways gets in some of those landing zones there. So, a few questions. I wouldn't be jumping into the shorts on America, that's for sure. But look, in fairness, Big Daddy knows more about golf than I from yesterday than I ever would in an entire lifetime. So, can't be putting the knock on Big Daddy. But I like Europe.
Just to quote Big Daddy off my SMS here is, America moral, throw in any multis you're having for the weekend, mate. So I don't know. That could be bullish or a declaration. Anyway, let's talk rugby league. Let's talk your wheelhouse top rope here, and your side, OB, and my side, the South Sydney Rabbitohs on Friday night at 10 to 8 at Suncorp Stadium. $1.70 over Mark's men, the Manly Sea Eagles, led by Tommy Turbo. And the line here is 1.5 to 2, flat 2, and 45.5 is the total here. Week off, fresh bunnies. OB?
Confident, but not overconfident. I like the bunnies with a bit of momentum. I like them,
need it in life, momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like them playing week in, week out. But this would be only their second game for a lot of them in a month. So a little bit worried about that with Wayne, the GOAT. Resting a few in the last round of the year, but I think the bunnies will be too strong. But Turbo's just a freak, so got to shut him down at the back. Money says Rabbits top rope. You say
top rope says Rabbits top rope. Very confident on the Rabbits here. The longer the week goes on, the more confident I'm getting on the Souths. Found a stat that kind of that intrigued me. I just did bit of research on how the good coaches go, and they've got a week off in the final. Like 9 of the last 10 winners of prelim finals have been the team who's had the week off. But when Bellamy, Trent Robinson, or Wayne Bennett in the NRL era has had a week off in a prelim, so they've come the short way home, 15-3 in that time. Wayne Bennett, 4-0 in the NRL era with the week off in a prelim. So I think South's going to be tuned up just fine. I'm not worried at all about the kind of time off. I'm not worried at all about the lack of. I think he will have them ready. What about
the head? Like you can find stats to support any sort of argument, but what about South versus Manly, like head to head? Who, like their last few starts, how do they match up as two sides going toe to toe?
Souths have won 4 straight. Souths have won 10 of the last 14. So, Bunnies tick every box for mine. They're better attacking sides. Everyone talks about Manly's attack. Unbelievable. South's averaged more points than this year. South's scored 32 plus in 9 of the last 12. Better defensive side. Manly have conceded 18 plus, I think, in 12 of their last 15. So, Souths are scoring points here. Manly will. There's no doubt Manly will get some as well. I'm not sure Manly can go with them. The good coaches have been able to shut Turbo down this year. Manly haven't won a game against top 4 side this year. I saw the criticism last week on Twitter. I didn't mean to say top 5 against the Roosters. Apology to the narc out there, but we still hold. We still hold. I think Souths match up really, really well in the pack. I think they can punch hard. I really love what Cameron Murray can do in the middle. Manly have some big forwards without a lot of lateral movement. I think Murray's the perfect guy to kind of take advantage of that. But Turbo can go nuts, and Manly can win the game. Definitely not saying Manly can't win the game here, but I think Souths have plenty of value, and I think they'll start a bit shorter than $1.70.
I think it took 5 minutes for my bet to salute last week. Tommy Turbo, anytime, $1.63. Thank you very much. Yeah, so you don't always have to try and cover yourself in glory and find the winner. You can just chip around the edges and just go a little Turbo anytime. And guess what? Turbo anytime, $1.93 MG.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this week. I've got two questions for Top Rope. Manly considered flat track bullies, and when you say, I thought Souths looked really cheap in this market without knowing, but what would you have had a price if you went out without market in this game?
When I did my lines on Monday, I had it 5.5.
Yep.
Minus 5.5. So, look, I don't think Manly have the flat track bully knock on them so much. What's happened is Manly had a really tough draw at the start of the year where they played all of the top sides without Turbo, and Turbo was hurt. So it's not like they've gone and been towed up by a lot of really good sides. In the limited exposure, I'd be happy to suggest they are flat track bullies, but they haven't got their back on them yet because they haven't really played enough sides and been flogged by enough sides. They've been hammered by the Melbourne Storm a couple of times, but that's about it. So I just don't think they're up to that elite level. Also, it shouldn't be underestimated how popular Wayne is at Souths. Wayne, for a guy who's only been there 3 years, he's a beloved figure at Souths, and they will want to send him out on top. And look, their tails will be up after copping the easy side of the draw following that win in the week on the finals. So, I think the Bunnies will be pretty happy with where they're at right now. I think they'll go into this game with a fair degree of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more. Little bit of Alex Johnson, $1.72 for those little sicko anytimes, and I don't mind a little bit of Gags, a bit of Dane Gagai at $2.69, dinner for 2.
It's not Origin, so Gagai probably won't play that well. But Alex Johnson, definitely get on
$1.72. Nice little one for your same game multis, or just back at. That's what I do. Sometimes just steer clear of the actual market and just back Turbo, or just a little moral Pappenhausen or whatever. It's easy at game. Okay, Saturday at 4:00, the new time slot, Suncorp Stadium, the Storm Grower League here, $1.30. That's more like it. Penrith Panthers $3.70, 8.5 the line, and 41 the total there. And it's all about marksman Brian. Easy back for Panthers. They need him.
On the bench.
Market would suggest no. I can't recall seeing it go like this in a prelim for a long time. They were $1.55 Saturday night after the game. 5.5 the line. It's Storm off the map. I think it's right. They're right to be off the map. Penrith scored 2 tries in the finals. I flogged by Melbourne the last time they played them. I know there's all this talk about Cleary being back, blah blah blah. He's been back and they've scored 2 tries in this final series. I don't think they got a lot of points in them against good teams. I think Melbourne have a lot of points in them against everyone. So I really like them. I think they clicked into gear beautifully. Exactly what you wanted to see in that week 1 of the finals. They just stepped it up a notch, had the players back, sound the alarm, the Pappers back. They kind of got everything working nicely, and that's I'll be laying the points here. I'll be backing some alternate lines. I reckon this one could get ugly on Penrith.
Ooh. Gee, they look shaky. They look awful. They had a million chances to convert. Parra let them off the hook so many times, and then it took a professional foul to sort of get over the line in the final stages. OB.
And the Parramatta hooker, that was Ray Stone, was it? The hooker. He had a great game. So he was man of the match for Penrith. So he played well. I reckon Melbourne are absolute morals here. I can't see them losing. I'm not going to watch the game. I'm going to watch postcards instead. That's how confident I am.
Let's hope for a. Go, Tom.
You better take that one and send it down, OB, because I'm going to need it after the Storm game finishes. Nothing on telly then.
So, Melbourne Storm, South Sydney Grand Final, and if we wind back probably 28 episodes, Top Rope's 2 early season bets. I think what were the Storm around $6.50 or $7, and then the Bunnies were around the $10 or $13 mark for memory. So a hat tip to you, Top Rope, to get both sides as favoured into the prelims. And you're already a genius in my eyes, but very well done there. And fingers crossed for your futures, you can get the big results home. Are you going to say, Nick, Marcos?
Yeah, I just want to ask Top Rope about the total here. It looks like it's already heading north from 40.5 to 41.5. Just with the way, I know Penrith didn't play great on the weekend, but their defence was outstanding with the amount of pressure that Parra put on them. Can they hold up Melbourne Storm, and do you think this will be a low-scoring game? 42 points seems a lot in the semi.
Yeah, Penrith's my heart was just, my natural inclination was to jump all over the under. Obviously, concerns that the Storm can score points, and in recent history suggests that prelims are actually pretty high scores. And what tends to happen is if the Storm get away early, the towel gets thrown in, and they can rack up points pretty easy. What I will be doing this from a total point of view is backing Penrith under 14.5 points. I don't think there's any chance Penrith get to 15 points in this one, unless they're kicking 8 penalty goals. Because this is a Melbourne Storm team that can defend really well and usually lift their defence come the finals. Parramatta scored 2 tries against significantly inferior defences than the Melbourne Storm. So I'm not really sure how they're going to break the Storm down this week. So, not sure about the total. My inclination is to be on the under here, MG. Wouldn't discourage anyone from taking under for you. Penrith are just a huge under team when they're out of Sydney. A massive under team. Massive under team when they're an underdog. Problem is, if this game goes over, it'll be the Storm 40-4. It'll be the Storm 42-0. The game's not going over on a 30-24 game. Something like that. So I'll be back in the other game though. We're talking the Friday night game. Very, very keen on the over in that one. I think there'll be plenty of points in that one. I think it'll be a bit of a shoot at that.
Already 44.5 to 45.5 in that game. So heading that way.
All right. That's the way we'll play it. All right, Top Rope, fantastic stuff. We'll see you next week for our final show for the season. So it's been an absolute monster year of AFL and rugby league, and sadly, that'll be us for the year. So next week we've got almost an all rugby league show. We'll talk a little bit at the start about the AFL wash up, but we'll roll the red carpet out, and it can be your show, Top Rope.
Just what I've been asking for you. Hopefully we're celebrating a Melbourne Storm prelim win and a very nice book coming into a grand final.
Outstanding stuff. All right, if you want more of Nick Tedeschi's action, make sure you check out Third and Long TV. He's in scintillating form with the NFL. Denver Broncos are gone 2-0, so OB's happy. He's the Third and Long man, and I'm an absolute pickle. I've got no idea about NFL, so I watch a lot of the Friday and the Monday and the Tuesday games while I'm babysitting my daughter, and I've been enjoying just tuning into his little morals there. So make sure you check out Third and Long TV. Bet Doctor if you're betting the ponies all weekend. And that's a wrap from us. And good luck in the finals for the AFL. Hopefully, Doggies and the D's put on an absolute showstopper. And hopefully, McGowan can keep COVID out of Perth.
Get the truck drivers away.
Shit. We'll see you next week.